Good day, people. Today, I just want to show you how to create a web API using Entity Framework, and we're gonna use code first. Let's start it. So we're gonna create a new project. We're gonna choose ASP Core Web Application. So I'm gonna say EF Core Web App dot API. So I'm gonna create the application. So we're gonna choose an API. You can see we're using .NET Core 3.1, and then we're gonna configure it for HTTPS. So you can enable Docker support, so that I'll show you in the next video how we're gonna deploy this API to the Docker. So let's just create an application. So yeah. So you can see the project is created. So the first thing that we're gonna do, I'm gonna add a new folder. So I'm gonna name it entities. So in entities is the class that represent our tables. So I'm gonna first create the first table that we're gonna use for this tutorial. So the first entity, I will call it entry. So in our entry, we're gonna have few properties. I'm gonna first create the first property as a string and say name, and then let's have the second property, which is also a string, and then let's say phone number. And then because what I wanted to show you, this is going to be a 1-to-many relationship, so I'm going to create two tables. So we're going to have an entry and also a phone book. So the property that we're going to create is going to be a type of an int, which is phone book ID. So this is more like a foreign key. And then that's it. So let's go and create another entity, and we're gonna call it phone book. Phone book. So there is gonna have two property, the name of the phone book, which is gonna be a string, and then it's just name. So because this is a phone book can have many entries, so must have a collection of phone books. So when I have another property called a collection of entry, so we're gonna call it entries, and then so get it set. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna do the most important part, which is our DB context. This DB context is where you're gonna define the relationship and also the entities that's gonna go and be created once we are running the EF commands to create the database, so those tables can be created. So let's get to it. And then so first thing, I'm gonna create a new folder. I'm gonna call it data, and then in this data, let's create a new class, which I'm gonna call it phone book. DB context. So yeah, so let's define our entities so that when you create, they can be able to be created in the database. So we're gonna have a public DB set. This DB set of phone book, which is phone books. It's also a garment and a set. So what we also using a entity framework, so we must have to install Microsoft Entity Framework Core from NuGet. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just right click it and then find and install latest version. So once it's installed, you can see it's there. We are using it in our user class. So I must also include this phone book. So we're gonna do the same for other entity, which is an entry. So we're gonna call this one entries. So then now we must define our one-to-many relationship. So to do that, so we must create on model create. So we're gonna override the one. Yeah, so let's get started. So we're gonna do protect override on model creation. So we're gonna have a model builder. So just call it a model builder. So in this method is where we're gonna able to define our models. So let's do it. So we're gonna say model builder dot entity of a phone book. So we're gonna have as many I'll say SP entities, and then with one let me do this so that it can make sense to you guys. Let me say this is an E because just to reference this to the entities, and then with one phone book. then book. So yeah, I can see I missed something. So in our entity, we must define a reference to our phone book. So to do that, so we can have property, I would say public phone book or phone book. There's a get and a set. So if we go back there, we can have our thing. So one other thing can define this relationship is required, and then we are almost done. And then this method is type of a void. So you can see there. So yeah. So what other we must do? We must just define our constructor of this entity so that we can able to access our connection string from our app setting. I'll just call it options. So it's a base of options. So this class must inherit DB context, and then it's all done. So we define our relationship, and then we can also able to access our connection string. So the next step is to define the connection string in our startup class, and then able to access it in our app setting file, JSON file. So we can just start that one now. We're just gonna do it right away. So the first thing that we can do, let's configure our connection string in our app setting so that we can able to access it in our startup file. So I'm gonna just copy my connection string and then paste it here in the app setting file. So just put it here on top. So there is my connection string. So you can see the database that we're going to create is called phone book DB. So let me just say phone book phone book database. Yes, so you can see there is our connection string. And then so now let's go and configure our connection string inside our startup. So that we can able to connect to this database, I'm able to create those new tables, and then I'll show you when the tables are created. So let's just start it. So I'm gonna go to our startup so that we can able to start configuring our connections. So in our startup, we're gonna go to this configuration service. So we're gonna add services. Services dot add db context. So in this db context, so we're gonna use the class that's just created earlier, which is that. So let's just edit in this class, and then can start it to configure our thing. So I'll just name this an option. So this option is gonna use SQL Server, because we're going to add this using our SQL Server what do you call it, database. So to be able to use this thing, let's add another NuGet package. So what you can do, you can write your project, go to manage NuGet package, and then click browse. So let's look for Microsoft. You can just say SQL Server. Oh, it's taking a while. So you can see we have Microsoft Entity Cost.SQL Server, so we must install this package so that we can able to use a SQL Server in our entity framework. So let's do that. Install our package. So now we're able to use this SQL Server. So we're gonna configure so that we can get the connection string from our app setting. So our name of connection string that we define is called default connections. So I'll just copy it and back. So it's gonna get that connection string, and then yeah, that's what is needed to get our connection string. So let's see. Yeah. And then that's it. So we have done and completed our code first. So now the next step that we need to do is to run the migration so that it can able to create our table in the database. So to do that, there are two commands that you need to run so that you can able to do migration and also to do update your your database in SQL. So the first thing that you need to do is so that you can able to run our migration, so must install other few packages, which is Microsoft Entity Framework Tools, and other one is Design. Without these two, we can able to do our migration and able to update the database. So let's just start by installing these two packages. So I'm gonna install Microsoft Framework Code 2. That's the first one. The second one is underneath there. So we're gonna first install the tool. So once it's done, we can also install the other one. So it looks like it's completed. Just let's add the other one. Okay. So now, because our packages are installed, you can go to Tools, NuGet Managers, and then Package Manage Console. After that, we're gonna first do the migration of our schema. So what I'm gonna do is just run this command, add migration. So I'm gonna give your migration a name. So I'm gonna just say it initial create. So let's run it. You can see our migration is completed. So if we can go and check, oh, I forgot one thing. You can see the error, the entity key require primary key, and then it's not defined. So let's go back to our entities. So we must define our keys. So what I'm gonna do is to create a share class where we're gonna define our key so that we don't repeat ourselves in every entity. So this is what I'm gonna do for you. The thing that you need to do now, we're gonna create a new share folder and then just create a share base entity so that you can able to define our primary keys and other fields that are required in every entities. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add a new folder. I'll call it shared, and then create a new class, which I'm gonna call it base entity. And then in this base entity, we're gonna have property, which is an ID, which is our primary key. It's our ID. Maybe you can add extra fields that you need. So I'm gonna just add maybe date created. Let's say it's called date created, and then it's a get it so, and again maybe add another one, the time, date, call it date modified, so again it's a get and a set, and then maybe again let's have a extra one public, which is a string. Let's say create down to get the set. The next one modified by, again let's say get and the set. So before, so we must define our ID to tell it that this is our primary key. So we can just put SQ. So we must use it from data annotating, and then to also tell this Q is an identity column. So we're gonna use database generated, which is database generated option dot identity. So I'll just add this so we can have our table sense. Yeah, so that identity. So yeah, so we define our primary key and then we tell our primary key is an identity. Yeah, so that's it. So now if we can go back and run our migration again. Oh, sorry guys, so another step, because we create a base entity, so we just need to define our entities that are using our base entity that we just created. This is called base entity. Let's copy this one. So let's add our entities. So the next one, so all our entities will inherit these base entities, so that can have all those properties that we define in our base entity class. So now if we run it now, it's gonna be successfully, which gonna able to migrate. So you can see after it creates a new class, this class, you can see it create our table. So you can see the first table called phone books. It got an ID of a type of int, and then it's also an identity. It's gonna start from 1 to 1, and then we're gonna have a name with a voucher of max, date created, modified, created. So you can see all these fields: ID, date created, modified, and created by and modified by are from our base entities. So if we can go again and check from check the other entity, which is an entries. Again, you have an ID, date created, date modified, created by and modified. And then we go down, you can see our constraint. This table got a primary key of an ID, also the foreign key, where for an ID. So everything that we define in our classes, it get generated. This is how you use code first to create our database. So now if we can go and run the last command to able to create our database, you can so that you can able to see it in the database. So if you run update database, is going to create our database in SQL. So while it's still running, let me just open my SQL manager so that you can able to see the database that we just created now. So everything is completed. So let's just wait for SQL Management Studio. I'm able to show you that we successfully created our database using code first. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to change the column name. I mean our column, like for example the envchar max, and then give it a fixed values, maybe envchar 20 and so forth. And then also then we're gonna do another coding using again link and ef core to insert data in the tables, and also to do the update in our tables, and also update, delete using ef core. So let me show you the database that we just created. You can see the phone book database. So if we go back to our code and then we go to our connection string, this is the database that we just defined in our connection string, and then everything that we've done, we created our database using code, using entity framework, code first, and then you can see here our table that we just created, and then which is a one-to-many relationship. I hope you love my video, and then check the next video when we're gonna do much more and have much fun using entity framework. Thank you. Bye.